At the hole where he went in, Red-Eye called to Wrinkle Skin. Hear what little Red-Eye saith. Nag, come up and dance with death. Eye to eye and head to head, keep thy measure, Nag. This shall end when one is dead. At thy pleasure, Nag. Turn for turn and twist for twist, run and hide thee, Nag. Ha! The hooded death has missed. Woe betide thee, Nag.
Greetings, I'm Rory the Mongoose, and this is the Radical Siren. Hey, it's Rory the Mongoose again, and sorry about the mix-up with episode 3. Had a bit of unforeseen technical issues with that, with the sound. Somehow the sound came out really soft. I have no idea why or how, because it sounds right. So I just re-record everything. I guess that's how you fix things. Anyway, I have slapped 3 and 4 together for you, so you don't have to wait for 4. I'm hopefully going to do the following episode. I guess I was sitting there thinking, is that episode 5 or would that be? No, it'd be episode 4 now. And I'm going to hopefully not spend a whole bunch of time with this. What I would like to do is give a brief introduction, and I'm going to put the entire conversation between me and Hippie. So, as I said in the video before, I thought it might be good to work ahead a bit, work on multiple episodes, and quite predictably, I rabbit-holed, and well, here we are, way late for another video. So with that, and bouts of mad woman-like inspiration with art and writing, it's been a job just to stay focused on writing the current episodes. Originally, this episode had been slated for something completely different, and after seeing something in the buzz out there that really concerned me, I went to work reading, and what was being said about empathy left me speechless and a little sick to my stomach. The words, "the sin of empathy," are an actual commonplace phrase you see out there when one does a search. Go on, look it up, look up the phrase. It'll scare you. Make sure you have a trash can close for the vomit, because you might puke. I stated in the first episode that I was staying away from direct engagement with politics for now, but honestly this garbage has my tail in knots, and I just can't stay quiet anymore. My conscience won't let me. Why is empathy so important? How can empathy help others or even warn us of danger? And why would people want you to stop or feel guilty about empathy? Before I truly get started, this is not a debate. I believe empathy is real and a necessary part of being a good human, and a result of empathy is compassion and understanding. So here's my sister with some quotes that I found out there from some sources some people here might find valuable.
It has been said, to be empathetic is to be human. It is to be aware of the feelings of others and to act with compassion. Bruce Lee says it best about compassion in the book, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do. It is compassion rather than the principle of justice which can guard us against being unjust to our fellow men. On Understanding in a Demon-Haunted World, Carl Sagan said, "For me, it is far better to grasp the universe as it really is than to persist in delusion, however satisfying and reassuring."
So that we're all on the same page, did you ever talk to somebody that lost their mother or father and decide it's better not to talk about your parents giving you a gift or maybe going on a family trip? That's empathy. Ever have a friend going through a tough time and just offer a shoulder to listen just because you know they need it? Well, that's empathy too. Ever think to yourself it might be rude to talk about something because it's really offensive, disgusting, or might be inappropriate? Well, that's empathy. It's also called reading the room, but that's a whole nother subject. So before I go any further in my rants and ravings, okay, so I'm going to do something a little bit different for this episode. I have a guest with me. This person has been my friend for a lot of years. We spent an obscene amount of time playing the same game, World of Warcraft, and she'll be my first guest for this subject. I'm going to have probably several because this is a pretty big discussion. This part will be unscripted for the most part. So without anything further, this is Hippie. Hey, Hippie!
Hi, Rory. Hi, everyone. My name is Hippie. For those of you who don't know me, I consider myself to be what is known as a lifelong learner. I believe that if we don't evolve as humans, we'll stagnate or worse, even regress. I also think that discussing difficult topics is vital for the human population to progress. One of the reasons why I'm a fan of this show. If we all felt the same, there'd be no opportunity for growth. There appears to be a lot of opportunity out there in society right now. So let's go ahead and get some topics discussed. On to you, Rory.
Okay, well, I kind of brought you on to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is empathy. Um, and there are people, as I discussed earlier in the video, that absolutely think that empathy is a bad thing, and I really honestly don't get it. Except, okay, so let me preface this by starting with I want to believe that people are better than they are, and it gets me in trouble all the time. And the only thing I can think of is that, like I was saying earlier, that I think that empathy is keeping the general population from drinking the Kool-Aid on a lot of present issues, from everything from homelessness to unemployment to LGBT, anti-LGBT sentiment and all that. And what's really holding the whole thing up is the fact that, we do feel empathy. So I guess my first question to you, having been around the medical field and been around a lot of different groups of people, what your take is on why empathy is so important. Let's start with that instead of the negative.
Well, empathy is crucial for human development. It allows us to try to understand what is going on with the other person and try to view it from their perspective. And that will change the way you interact with them. It may give you more respect for what they're going through. It should improve your understanding of complex situations because anything going on in society, especially in medical, is never straightforward. Um, it just isn't that way. In medical situations, patients and families are particularly vulnerable because they trust the caregivers to know what they're doing. Some of them implicitly, when they should probably be asking questions, they're not. So the empathetic caregiver would say, "Okay, I'm going to break this down for you, and I'm going to encourage you to ask questions because this is not an easy situation." Without empathy, you may just say, "Okay, we're going to go in, we're going to do A, B, C," and the patient and their family are just going to trust that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, even if you find out that you're in the wrong patient's room. So, it's really important to stop and discuss what's going on with your patient and be empathetic and understand that there's a human being on the other side of the care that you're providing. Um, a lot of healthcare is not empathetic any longer. And I think that is actually very sad.
I th- I really think though that especially after all this, and I really have to control myself not to, you know, use obscenity in this because I'm just not gonna. Um, but
after all seeing all this crap, I hope that people start to see that it's a lot more important than it is. Because usually, from what I've seen, a good portion of the population, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, you tell them something's bad or not to do it, that's the first thing they try to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping is going to happen here. It's like, oh, empathy's bad, huh? Well, I'm going to be empathetic to everybody. It's like that goofy.
I'm not entirely sure it works that way with empathy, though.
Well, we're gonna hope. We're gonna hope. But I to not to put too fine of a point on what you were talking about with with the medical field. I have a couple of things that I can share that are personal experiences. One, when I had stomach surgery, I had my gallbladder removed about I don't know 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I was really scared. I had never been under the knife before, and it was a frightening experience. People don't realize how it scares the hell out of some people, and I had it in my head, oh, I'm gonna die, and once you get yourself convinced of something like that, it's really hard. But one really, really nice nurse that worked with the I can't say the word right, but the nurse practitioner that did anesthesia there at the hospital, she worked with her. She was an RN, and saw how scared I was, and I was like just absolutely destroying my my stuffy that I had with me. Death gripping that poor cat. It was like this big old overstuffed thing called a misery cat, and it's not what it sounds like. He's a cute gray cat with his eyes closed like an anime character. He's really cute, and covered in tear stains now because of the 2 surgeries I went through.
Aww.
And keeps me company along with Blowhigh. And she told me, she goes, while you can't take the kitty with you, I'll take care of your kitty while you're under, and you'll have it as soon as you wake up. I mean, literally as soon as you wake up. Is that okay? And she looked at the doctor. Doctor said, I've got nothing wrong with that. You could tell he was like, I ain't arguing with this lady.
No, they tend not to.
And as I woke up, because funny little story about that. I was like, "You gonna have me count backwards?" And the guy looked at me as he pushed the plunger on the anesthetic, and he says, "You won't be awake long enough." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then I woke up as she was handing me the stuffy. I'm like, I don't understand what just happened there.
It sounds like you had a really great nurse anesthetist. What she did was she changed your focus from being, oh, I'm not going to make it to, I'm not going to make it to, you're going to make it. And not only you're going to make it, but you're going to see your stuffed animal on the other side, and I'm going to take care of it so that you will have him at your bedside when you come out. So
it wasn't even bedside. It was literally they hadn't even wheeled me out of the room yet. As I woke up from the surgery, and I woke up in the operating room. Mm-hmm. She goes, "Here, he's been waiting for you," and she like lifted my arm up gently and put him under my arm.
Aww.
And I hugged my stuffed animal, and I think her name was Linda, if I remember right. And I was like, "Oh, thank you, Linda." And she's like, "You're fine." And
I am such a fan of nurses like that, nurse anesthetists. I'm a huge fan of ladies who do that.
She was older. I can't give any yays or nays to younger nurses. I haven't had really any bad experiences. And, you know, being transgender, it's kind of, you know, odd that I haven't had any bad ones, but I really haven't. They treat me like a human being most of the time. But see, that's what they're trying to stop. And it's real easy to get rid of a whole bunch of people if nobody feels any empathy towards them. They didn't expect anybody to feel any empathy towards, or not enough people to feel empathy towards all those, immigrants that they're basically kidnapping. And they do. They've got judges standing in the way and
Yeah,
government
I think
officials
that's
standing in the
wonderful.
way. Well, and I'm not going to say where it was, when it was, but Rory screamed something about immigration in her best Mexican accent to distract them at my school.
Nice.
And and everybody scattered. Literally, there were about 30 or 40 people that were there, and everybody just scattered in different directions because they all kind of figured out what was going on. A couple of the gals that were walking with me, one of them was in heels, and she took off running in heels across the parking lot. It was the funniest thing
Oh
I've ever
yeah.
seen.
Yeah, when you've got that flight, yeah, ooh, you're gone.
Yep. And
I don't think they're going to be able to stamp out empathy though. I really don't. And the reason why is because there are so many people in this country who are humane,
mhm.
and I think I'm going to be optimistic and say that they do outnumber the people who are only out to benefit themselves, and that's the whole point of trying to stamp out empathies, because you want to dehumanize the people that are being targeted,
Mhm.
and you want to move them because you have some kind of financial or psychological benefit from being hateful, and that's it. But I think the majority of the country has enough empathetic people. They're just not loud enough, and they do need to get louder, and stand up, and like you did, you saw these people, they were at risk, and you stood up for them, and that's wonderful. And that's part of being empathetic. It's just you know that this person is rightfully fearing for their life.
Yep.
Maybe not imminent death, but they will lose their life as they know it today. They would be removed from the situation. They would be detained. They would be possibly removed from the country. So
And I was
because
actually, and
you're a
I
caring
was,
human being, you stood up for them.
and not, and I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I want to mention the fact that sometimes, even in situations like that, where you're putting yourself in personal danger, because there's no telling what those guys will do. They've
Oh, you're
pulled,
absolutely right.
they've detained people, and they're not even they're not even considered the same as like regular law enforcement. They're not supposed to detain anybody outside their own writ.
Right.
When the one tracked me down, it was really funny. He said something about, well, you guys need to stop doing stuff like that. You're interfering. I said, interfering with what?
Yeah, call them out.
I said, you're on private property anyway. Well, we're law enforcement. And I said, whose jurisdiction? And I said, are you a cop? They're not cops. And
How did this person respond to that? Did
oh,
they did they lie?
he got nastier and nastier, and basically I was asked by security at the school to just walk away from it, and they would deal with the rest of it. I know
Ooh.
I know the police officers there at the school, and they're not rent-a-cops. They're real cops. They're regular. There's a regular police station there. Um, and basically, I was taken aside by that particular cop. It's like, God dang it, Rory, don't do that again. You almost had your own butt in a sling.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm just like completely admonished like a 10-year-old girl. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. But no, also like when I was a medic, there were people that, and while I think a lot of us like to make fun of the whole alpha male, sigma male crap, there were people that would come in and they were terrified of things like shots.
Oh, yeah.
And I figured out a long time ago that it doesn't matter if the person, even if you don't like the person, everybody deserves a bit of compassion, and that's part of empathy. And I show compassion to people like that. The one guy's like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. Well, the only place that you can do those particular shots, I don't remember what the shot in the butt was. And all I remember was this pink stuff that you had to warm up. I don't remember what it was. I keep wanting to say smallpox, but I don't think it was smallpox.
I was going to say, it's some kind of vaccination, right?
Yeah, it's some kind of vax, but I don't remember which one it is. But I looked at the one guy and I said, come here. And this guy was a head taller than me and probably weighed 400 pounds. And there was
Taller than you?
Yeah, and I'm 6 foot. I mean, this dude,
Yeah.
he had to have been 6'5", 6'6". And I helped him over to a bed, and he was just solid freaking muscle. And he's shaking. And I mean, he truly was showing fear. And I helped him over there, and I'm like, here, lay down on the mat, on this, or not on the mat, but the gurney. And I'm like, here, just lay here. I'll do the shot here. And if you pass out, well, your head's going to fall 2 inches and on a pillow. And I said, better yet, why don't I and I got him a pillow and got him to lay his head down. And I talked to him the whole time. And he's like, well, when are you going to do it? And I'm like, what do you mean? When are you going to do it? I said, I already did it. And he just looked at me. His eyes were as big as saucers. And I'm like, it's amazing what you can do when you distract somebody. I'm like, ooh, look at distraction.
Exactly.
I'm like, ooh, look at distraction. But
yeah, that's a very useful tactic. It does come in handy, doesn't it?
yes, it does. But something else, and I think that you might be able to add to this on the more negative side. I really believe this is more... and I noticed that there were several former members of Congress that were Republicans, Paul Ryan being one of them, that were very much into Ayn Rand. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who he is. He's kind of a jerk.
Well, Ayn Rand was a kind of.
Oh no, I'm thinking Paul Ryan.
No. I'm trying to. What I wanted to talk about was her, and she. I'm going to probably get into her a little bit in the next episode talking about this, because she's the greed is good. There's no such thing as altruism. That empathy is bad. And all this other stuff. And if you start looking at things like Project 2025, or even the president's platform, and you start looking at political platforms for people that are supposedly, and they're not, they're using him as a tool because he's who he is.
He's a tool, absolutely. He's definitely being manipulated for his bravado, his willingness to make a fool of himself in public and distract from other issues that are going on.
Because he doesn't really think he's making a fool out of himself.
Correct. He thinks he's all that in a bag of potato chips, but the puppet masters know better. They're like, just they keep him happy, he makes a very convincing distracting tool.
Yep. And and part of it is having to work through him. That's part of why they failed.
It's true. He doesn't always do what they want him to.
Yeah, exactly. But she, her philosophy has showed up in so many things, and even my dad has brought that up, and they've mentioned her. Several people have mentioned her, Paul Ryan being one of them. And when I've heard preachers in the past talk about the sin or how empathy can be a sin, it's empathizing with evildoers, or I don't know how to say it, like empathizing with a murderer. Well, even that, when that's been, you know, brought up in discussions with me, and I think you'll agree, there are degrees with everything. The world is not a black and white place.
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
Because someone that's guilty of murder, why did they do it? Not everybody that's murdered somebody has murdered somebody in cold blood. Sometimes people have gone to prison for murdering somebody, and, you know, they shot somebody that was attacking their kids, or
Right,
they're
with self-defense, or
right.
someone who had tried to kill. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I believe in justifiable homicide. I've argued that a few times with a few other people because, in their personal opinion, there is no reason for justifiable homicide. But I'm, I think there really is. Sometimes defending your family, if you're being beaten, if someone's assaulting you, sexually assaulting you, if you feel like your life is endangered, to me, you have every right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the perspective of how well the lawyers do in court too. They can spin a lot of different things in a lot of different ways.
Well, and I've heard of rape victims and um, people that have been, you know, just uh, uh, wow. I probably shouldn't have said that last part. Okay, so let's. I'm going
It's
to.
okay.
I'm going. No, no, no,
Sometimes
no, no. I
sometimes
mean,
people will turn the victim in and
no, no.
put the
That ain't
blame on
what.
the victim.
That's not what I mean. We're gonna have to
Okay.
start from that place because I can't say the R word on YouTube.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So I've seen a lot of victims of SA and molestation and things like that in the news that have gone after the person who committed these crimes on them. And even in that situation, you can't let somebody get away with murder, but also, there is a little bit of mercy there that, hey, this person what happened to them was horrifying. Period. Um, and it's real hard for me to look at somebody and know that this happened to them and then they killed the person who did it and be angry at that person or want to punish them.
Right. I would have a hard time punishing them as well.
I mean, I have I didn't do well just going in to jury duty. I hate jury duty. I don't feel like I'm qualified to help pass judgment on another human being, because I just don't, just gives me the creeps doing that. But regardless, so what I was saying about that particular shitty philosopher, I did it again. So what I was saying about that particular philosopher a few minutes ago, what are your thoughts on why they would want, I want it in your words, why they would want people not to show or feel empathy?
In my opinion, it would help them to achieve their goals more easily with less friction, less resistance. If you can dehumanize the individuals that are in the theatician's way, metaphorically, um, if you can dehumanize the people that they want to remove from the picture, remove from the country, remove from those positions, those jobs, um, people are less likely to stand up for them. People are less likely to stand in the way and say, what you're doing is illegal and we're not going to accept it. We're not going to allow you to harass this person. We're not going to allow you to abuse this person. We're not going to allow you to attack this person. I think it's vital that they try to make people feel guilty for even wanting to help these people because they want to make their targets appear less worthy. Um, so it's just a mind game that they're trying to push. And I think the only places it might gain traction with are the people that already drink their twisted Kool-Aid. You've got people who already think that these narrow-minded individuals are on the right path, on the righteous path, if you will, because religious or not, it is kind of cult-like. I mean, it's not just Christianity or any kind of, I'm not targeting any specific religion, but the behavior is very much like a religion and like a cult in as far as the way they want people to be brainwashed and to think, and the people who align with those beliefs believe it blindly already. And I think those people will buy into it, but I don't think they're going to really catch on with any of the individuals who are able to critically think for themselves.
Oh, what do you know? Critical thinking. It came up again. Wow.
People need to critically think for themselves. They do.
Right. No, I know. It was that came up in polls. Critical thinking. Critical
I remember
thinking and what was the other one I kept? Oh, confirmation bias. I kept saying, "Oh,
Yes.
wow, that showed up." And that even gets involved because what they're able to do if they that's one thing that they could do when people feel a lack of empathy is they can more easily use confirmation bias, which is a perfectly natural thing for human beings to get caught in. They can use that as a tool then.
Yes.
Because if you don't care to know anymore, then and someone says, "See, look, they're doing it. See, see," and that's what ends up happening. So, all right. So, I think I'm going to pull this to a close, lady. Hopefully, I'll get you back on for something politics related.
Okay, Sirens, I think that's about it. I'll see you soon. Discord information will be in the description below. I would like to thank everybody that has helped me. Their names are on the screen right now. Without their help, none of this would be possible. Because I am a poor mongoose. I don't have a lot of money, but we're doing our best here, and hopefully things will just get better as time goes on. We'll see you soon. I've been Rory, and this is the Radical Siren.